What up, everybody? How are you guys doing out there? We know Rob's good.
Yeah.
I'm good. And if you don't know Susan Heim Bowen, let me tell you, you all are going to be as good as her in just a minute.
Oh, it's amazing.
Whoa, Nelly. This lady's accomplishments are fantastically phenomenal. How would you like to swim the English Channel like 47 times? Swim from Alcatraz to San Quentin and almost get arrested? Well, we're going to find out the stories now. Susan, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here. You guys have got a great show going on.
Yes, we're having
Thank
a good
you.
time.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
there's so much more to add because
I know. I was trying.
freshman, like so much going on.
I wanted to keep it boom kind of
Okay.
quick there because I know you're a 50-year-old freshman, but I need to know something. Almost getting arrested from.
They weren't happy as way I
Yeah,
heard it.
I want to know a little. I got to know a little more.
Well, with all my swims, there's always a story. There's always, yeah. I mean, some are more creative than others, but there's always a story. So we were doing, and I say we, even though I'm the swimmer, you have a crew that, you're only as good as your crew. So it's always a we event. And we were swimming from Alcatraz to San Quentin. And I think that's probably about 9 or 12 mile swim. And, currents in the San Francisco Bay can be rather challenging. So we landed on the beach. The swim was uneventful until the landing. And we landed on the beach at San Quentin. Well, there's a restricted part on San Quentin, I guess, but the tides and the currents wouldn't allow me to land on the public side. So I landed on the beach right below the prison, which wasn't really a good thing to do in the midst of what we later found out was a riot. So there was a riot at the prison going on at the same time that my flotilla was at the beach. So of course, you have a motorized boat, I have a rowboat, I have at the time I had a paddler. So there were probably quite a few watercraft in the water landing there with probably about 6 or 7 people. And it got the guards there a bit upset, obviously, because they're thinking riot. They're probably thinking, here comes a flotilla to get some guys out of San Quentin, who knows? But yes, I was greeted by some guards there with some handcuffs and with guns. We had somebody actually on our flotilla that was a law enforcement person, so he kind of talked them down. But that was a rather interesting finish. Had everybody on edge there for a minute. So that was.
Is it that I just keep hearing, let's start a riot?
Oh man. So now you know where I get the lawlessness.
The lawlessness.
No. Time out. You cannot blame her. That was purely and strictly.
Our guests don't know this though. Suzanne was my babysitter when I was a little kid. And
what are you talking about? You told him at the beginning.
No, that's not even.
Yes, that is. That's gotta be.
No, good luck with that, buddy.
God, yeah, I'm editing this one.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
So yes, Rob and I go way backwards. I was actually his after school program daycare teacher, and eventually even he and his sister's swim teacher. But I found out he was doing some creative hide and seek playing when he was 5 and 6 years old, checking out the bushes to see what's going on behind the bushes.
That can mean more than one thing.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, it can mean more than one thing. It could be a couple things.
Oh,
whoa.
Man. Anyway, so you were so are you having fun yet?
Yes,
okay,
I am.
Good. So the other things, you have accomplishments all over the world. You have world records in long course, and you've done things that and spearheaded things that other people have wanted to accomplish and do, and taken it even further. English Channel is a big one, right? That was a big thing for you to do.
Sure, yes. So in the 80s, I did a lot of solo swims, long solo ultramarathon swims. And I got in and pioneered, with a group of us from the San Francisco Dolphin Club and the South End Rowing Club. We pioneered a bunch of first time ever swims. And then it was kind of a big deal because I felt like Christina Columbus, you can't go swim outside the Golden Gate Bridge. There's all these critters and things and tides and currents, but we did it anyways. Well supervised with a lot of safety, a good safety plan, an emergency plan just in case. And everything is fine. So in the 80s, I kind of ran out of places to swim in the bay, and somebody suggested, hey, why don't you try the English Channel? So, that was, I think, in 85, I did one swim from France to England, went back in 86 and did two swims, about 3 days apart. I didn't like, well, it was kind of, remember I told you there's always a story. So in 86, when I swam the channel, England to France, it was really rough. I think there were about 7 people that started out and only 3 finished. And so I finished, and I kind of yelled at my pilot, said, if there's a nice day, I want to be out here. This is ridiculous. So he called me up 3 days later and he says, okay, game on. Are you gonna go for it? I'm like, oh, I did say this, didn't I? And the water was as flat as a pancake. You could have water skied on it. It was gorgeous, but I was really tired and beat up. I made it. I only went like 10 minutes faster than I did the previous 3 days. But considering how beat up I had gotten, from the rough water, I was, you're always happy to make it. You want a faster time, but you're always should be just appreciative and grateful to make it. So, that was a story. And I even, they have a pace swimmer actually get in with you and swim with you. And this man had just, his name's Philip Rush. He had just completed a triple 1, 2, 3 laps back in the 80s. Yeah, he's a stud. And yeah. So there was no fooling around. I was very tired. In fact, they keep track of your stroke rate, like when you swim. And my stroke rate was like 68 to 76, and it dropped to like 56, 52. And my trainer at the time got really upset. She was like concerned, and she asked me the worst question you can ask. She said, how are you feeling? Now that is a question you don't ask, because I let out a litany of probably not the best language. And, like, how do you think I'm feeling? I'm swimming here. And I just copped an attitude. And the pilot came out and said, you know what? If she's got that attitude, she's just fine. Keep her going. So, yeah, right on. So, yeah, so that, and then I went back again the following year. And I do need to share this. I went back in 87. And I went back thinking that I was all that and I could do this by myself. And I didn't take any of my people with me. But I had good people over in England, but they weren't my people who knew me. And it was during a night swim. And I decided that I didn't want to be there. And I quit in the middle of the channel. I quit. I said, I don't want to be here. And I think it's important to share that, because I think you really do learn, you guys are in the sports world, and it takes a lot of foul balls to hit those home runs. And this was a foul ball. It was a great learning experience. And I went back home and kind of recalibrated and got my priorities a little bit different, and learned, like I said, I learned a lot. Didn't have my people with me. I really need my crew with me and somebody that knows me. And the following year, I ended up making the USA long distance national team and was the captain and won a silver medal in the world championships. So, it's like, what's past, you have to kind of put your head like what's past is past and move forward, not dwell on that character building experience. But it was a really good learning experience. Mm-hmm.
For long distance swimming, I mean, your mindset can't be just right now. It's got to be a prolonged thing, to where you go, okay, I make the decision to do A, and it's not until B and C. what would you say to like our younger viewers in regards to getting prepped or making sure your mind is in the right place? Because obviously what you're telling us is at the time you thought your mind was in the right place, but
Mhm.
it actually wasn't.
Right. Well, it started off in the right place and then it got into this really negative zone. And it's really important to have that positive self-talk. And I have to say, honestly, that to this day, sometimes my head goes into dark places and you have to have a nice, during those long swims, especially in the beginning. And I can give you, again, I said, there's always stories. And you have to have enough mental strength and have a good, vast experience so that to draw from, so that you know that your head might go there and what are you going to do about it. So you need to do that positive self-talk, and that includes relaxation. If you, and you really do need to relax your body, relax your brain. And sometimes you really, I miss like 4, 5, 6 hours, you know, because we're talking about swimming like 10 hours. So sometimes I miss hours, which means I've gone into just listening to my breathing or who knows, in some kind of meditative state, I guess, but you just miss hours. And then you wake up a couple hours before the swim and then you like count your strokes going, oh my gosh, I'm 2 miles offshore and it takes you flipping forever to get there, you know. So you have to be careful about looking up. But I put open water swimming aside, ultras aside in the 80s, and then I didn't pick it back up because I was doing pool swimming and did really well in pool swimming and didn't pick it back up until about 2014, but then seriously with COVID. Yeah. And then I pushed the reset button and went, oh, okay, let's try something else.
Well, let me jump because
Go, you gotta
Yeah.
go. You
well,
gotta.
and it's actually something we talk about a lot, and we talk about it with a lot of athletes, and I think this is such a big
I know where you're
point
going.
to drive
I
home
think
right
it's the
now.
same thing I was gonna ask.
But what you have to do is so much more than any other sport athlete we've ever talked to, is that you need to make the uncomfortable comfortable.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going.
Yep.
And you do it at the most unbelievable level that there probably can be. How do you make that uncomfortable comfortable?
And I say something similar. You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Totally. That is, you know, front and center. And that's just all about, you know, your training. Your end result is not what your expectations are, it's what your training has done for you. So, you know, I can expect that I'm going to do the English Channel, but really the expectation is not going to get me there. It's that training that gets me there and being comfortable with the uncomfortable. So that means that there's sometimes that the water might get quite rough, or some other things that aren't really pretty that people probably don't talk about. You know, some of these swims get so rough that you're vomiting, and you need to know that this too shall pass, and not give in to your mind and start feeling sorry for yourself. I mean, you have a crew, and again, I come back to your crew knows you. And if there are times where, you know, you need to get out, now the time that I got out in mid-channel, I didn't, my head was not in the right place. I did not want to be there. I did not want to be there. Now, and I also knew that since it was in the middle of the night that they couldn't run the boat away from me. So once you touch the boat, the swim is over. You know, so had my people been there, there might have been a different result, and they might have told me, you know, you need to put your head down and let's get you to you go feed from feed. So instead of thinking long term, you think short term. You know, you feed, you stop for 10 or 15 seconds every 30 minutes. So you go from feed to feed. You know, okay, you made this feed, let's go to the next feed. And you just go from feed to feed. So your long-term goal of 14 hours, 10 hours, 8 hours, however long it's going to take you, you don't look at that. You look just going from feed to feed, and you've got a person there to kind of walk you through. I'm pretty strong-willed, understatement. So
No.
when I make up my mind, like, and I'm too, since I've been doing this for 45 years for open water swimming, although I did about a 20 year stint for pool swimming, but I always kept up put my toe in the water in the bay, so I would not lose that, getting used to being comfortable with being uncomfortable in the 50-degree water. So in the wintertime, and then when it's 62, it's like, ooh, tropical. So yeah.
She said something in there too, which was really important, and I didn't expect it out of that, because you're you're the one swimming,
Mhm.
but how important the team is.
Yeah.
Oh, in her sport, but in every sport, a NASCAR driver has a team.
Yeah.
A
Yes.
football player has a team. A
Yes.
tennis player has a team. There's
Yes.
track and
Wrestling.
you really hit that. And I wanted to focus on that because a lot of individuals out there, even in team sports, and how important the team is so big to your success.
Yeah.
And you really hit that. So I wanted to focus that out.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Can I share? Let me share about my Catalina swim, which was 2019. And it was a COVID swim. It's like, okay, I can't swim in the pool. My neighbors next door, they have a pool. They don't heat it. It's the middle of winter. Perfect training. Put a tether on, go swim. Put your headphones. I actually put headphones on for that one. But it was cold. And then you'd go to the bay, and you couldn't, go locker room. So you had to do all your training, and so I push reset and I go, okay, I got all this open water training. I'm goal oriented. What am I gonna do? Okay, I'll do Catalina. So it's quite an expense, but for good reason. So I had my trainer person that was down there, and she would accompany me, get all my feeds ready, up in the bay. We would train here with Pacific Open Water Swimming. She's wonderful. And then we got down there. So we got down to Channel Harbor in Catalina, and I looked at the boat. I kind of lost my head. I looked at this boat. This boat was a freaking floating hotel for me. And I wasn't used to that. I'm used to this boat with like 3 people. I like to keep my crew small. I don't like a big entourage. Oh my gosh. So it was a dive boat. And so I'm renting 2 pilots, not 1 pilot, 2 pilots, because the pilots can't be out for more than 12 hours. So in case I went over 12 hours, you have to have 2 pilots. 3 crew, 1 galley crew, which was really good because they cooked a full course breakfast for my crew. So it was great. So I like happy crew. Happy crew makes happy swimmer. So then we had the other 2 crew that actually run the boats, front, back lines, the whole thing. Okay. Then you have to have observers on your swim to make it official. So I didn't have 1 observer, but 2 observers, because again, the same thing, if it goes over 10 or 12 hours, some of those swims are like 18 hours. Luckily, I think I was 10 hours, 16 minutes. So they loved me because they could go back and get some sleep. And all right, so we had 2 of those. Then we had my pilot, and then we had 2 kayakers. So I have a kayak. So I've got this big giant dive boat, and then I have 2 kayakers, and they go on and off for 3-hour stints. So you start off at about 10:30 or 11:30 at night, and this is how important crew is. And it was pretty swelly. And on a boat, I get very seasick. I didn't going out, but I took some precautions, like I didn't go, if I go underneath in a boat or inside. So I just stayed outside in the fresh air in the middle of the night. So we start the swim at 10:30 or 11:30 at night. And then it started to get really swelly. And I was like, oh. And then the seasickness started in, which I've never been really seasick before. And it went on for about 3 hours, and I wasn't holding anything down. And I came prepared, though. I had some pills that you can take for to stop the seasickness. But my paddler at about 3.5, 4 hours stopped me and said, "Are you feeling nauseated?" And I went, and I stopped and I thought, and I went, no. What was happening was nerves. And so let's circle back to what you said about positive self-talk, which you guys were saying.
Yeah.
And I gave myself quite a talk, and I did this progressive muscle relaxation where you go, okay, I could feel my stomach was really tight and nervous, my legs. And so I just did this kind of, relax the stomach, breathe, focused on the breathing, got into a real positive mindset and sort of relaxed everything. And I was fine.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that was all he had to say. Are you feeling nauseated? And it wasn't the nausea, it was nerves. So all these swims, you learn more about yourself. And that's probably why I'm still doing it, because no swim is the same. No swim is the same. There's always a story, and something always happens, good or not so good. I say good or character building. That's how I usually frame it.
I've got two questions that are they're kind of fun, but they'll follow each other. So the first part of it is, what are you afraid of?
Okay. Well, again, I don't worry. I let my crew worry about everything. So when I jump in the water, I trust my crew. So, okay, so first thing people think of are critters, right? So the critter thing, actually, I have a critter suit, and I just got done with a swim from Anacapa to Ventura this few months ago. And she loved my suit. I took a picture of this pattern that was black and white. And I had the swimsuit company make me a black and white striped suit. Because what eats, right, Rob? What eats seals and sharks? I wanted to look like an orca.
Oh my, yeah.
So I felt this is my super suit, right? I don't know whether, but that's my critter. I call it my critter suit. So I have this black and white suit that actually the pilot down there in Santa Barbara, because it's not just sharks, but it's also seals and sea lions that like to play and nip at you. So yeah, so she liked it, because when she actually put stripes on me, she put stripes on you, black and white with zinc, and then I had this suit, and she just loved my suit. I call it my critter suit. So I swim again. So actually, my crew, again, I come back to it. They, my life is in their hands, and they take it it's not like you're going out for luck. They're very serious about it. Actually, in San Francisco Bay, what I'm probably most fearful of are boats and boat traffic. So that kind of concerns me. And again, I know when I'm swimming any cross channel swims, my pilots are on, vessel traffic, or English Channel the same way. It's a very busy shipping channel, and they're in contact with vessel traffic. So yeah, so as far as from that, I'm not afraid of anything. The only thing is my head has got to be in the game though. So that's what's got. So no critters, nothing on the outside, more internal. Mm-hmm.
So following that up, because you went into the critter thing, which is what I was hoping, but when I was a little kid, the one thing that could always get my attention is all the kids would get to sit down, and then Suzanne would do a talk about the experiences that she had. So I have a lot of memories from that. It's the only time I would sit still, is just listening to her talking about her swim. Right?
Yeah, literally the only time he would sit still was 30 years ago. Of
Right.
course.
30 more than that. I got her 45.
I was trying to actually be nice. All right.
So the best part was, I remember asking you, have you had any critters like bite you or stuff like that? And I remember you talking about jellyfish.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll go back to the question now because it's been a long time. What have been, because you always said, I hate the jellyfish. I hate the jellyfish. What, is that still the same thing, or is there more that you have dealt with?
Well, I've been slimed or kissed by a few fish. I was in Lake Geneva, and we go into the locker room, we take off our suits, and there are these little teeny fish that fall out of your suit. Similarly, I was in Australia swimming in the Swan River, and they've got these jellyfish, but they don't sting. That was pretty disgusting. I wasn't the only one. The locker room the floor was all full of these jellyfish that got in our suits. Yeah, they didn't sting, but yeah, I was in Hawaii last week, and I got walloped. I don't like them. I was in Bermuda after a hurricane, and all the tentacles and everything got all wishy-washy, and so when we were swimming, we got bits and pieces of the little stingies. We call them no-see-ums, that got all over. And sometimes some of the women wear two-piece suits. It doesn't happen as much with the guys because they like to go in your suit. You don't have those problems, but anyways, but yeah, they're those little guys, I don't know, they can stay out of suits, but they seem to like it. Anyways, we won't go there. But yeah, the jellyfish, kissed by fish, slime, rays are also are kind of slime by them. But I was in as a kid, when I was in my early 20s, I went to Tahiti and outer islands, and I ended up diving with villagers, and those are the best people you could dive with. And it's in Rangiroa, very shark infested place. And they say 1 or 2 are okay, 3 or 4 we get out because they're like a pack of dogs, and we got out. Yeah, so yeah, but they were very calm about it. That's just kind of the way they do it. But yeah, critters, jellyfish are still, and people are swimming in some areas that are some pretty nasty ones. They're called lion's manes, up in the northern part of Ireland, and even up in Maine, and those give you a significant wallop. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no jellyfish. I don't like jellyfish still.
Still to this day. We're gonna go a little longer because we still have to talk about the 50-year-old freshman.
Oh.
And so
I'll be quick.
This is a big part, and there's actually a little movie out there, the 50-year-old freshman.
Yeah.
And it talks about the fact that you had eligibility for college. Right.
So quickly, so in 70, so there's we were pre-Title IX. So there were 4 women's sports and 16 men's sports at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. So a group of us did some guerrilla marketing, and, there was no social media, you're putting up signs and, around the campus and see who would show up. And we got some interest, and we even went to, we followed protocol. We went to the student body meeting after workout when it's like 35 degrees out, our hair is wet, has icicles in it, how could they say no to us? So they, gave us their seal of approval, and for 2 years we were I was there for a team. So I was 2 years at Cal Poly as a team, and then my husband was coaching water polo at our local community college at Diablo Valley College. And the swim coach there said, "Hey, you're interested? Your wife thinks she may be interested. We need a distance swimmer." So my husband volunteered me and said, "Sure." And yeah, but it was fun. So I had 2 years. I went back to school, I have 2 master's degree, but I still had eligibility. I could still go back. It was pre-Title IX, and went back and ended up doing really well, setting a conference record at age 50, and at state championships, got 3rd place. And it was just a really fun college experience again. And I was able to help the team do really well too, and place in the top 3 or 4 for the state. So that was really fun. The kids liked it too. My name was Granny. And there were a couple funny stories there, like they were swimming men and women together at one of our just regular swim meets. And some woman said, that's not fair. I was beating everybody. She said, my son, that's not fair. And the coach is like, what do you mean it's not fair? She's like 51 years old. And, your kid's like 18. So he didn't, yeah.
Get over it.
Funny stories, yeah.
Not fair. You're like, what are you talking about?
What's not fair?
Technically, they should be whooping your derriere, but
Yeah,
they're not.
exactly.
Get up, Buttercup. Let's play the game.
Exactly. So yeah, so
Oh
they
my
made a
God.
documentary on this, and kind of they also covered the some of my swim history for Masters swimming, because I'm in the Masters International Swimming Hall of Fame for distance, and some records
Nice.
there. Yeah, so it was really, it won a bunch of awards at film festivals. Fun. It was fun. I
Oh,
know.
hold on. What's the name of this thing? We got to know, because we got to get it out there for these guys and
It's-
you, of course.
50-year-old freshman.
That's
Oh, well,
I-
that's easy. Well, I wasn't
That's it,
sure if
yeah.
there was like pterodactyl rising or, I don't know. I got to ask.
50-year-old freshman. Yeah.
All
That's
right.
amazing.
I like it.
The best part is that, so you have all these accomplishments. We talked about this real quick. I'm putting in here, so people who have been watching this whole time, although that's future, but as people are watching, your accolades are all over the screen. We're probably going to do a ticker all the way across.
Gonna have
Probably
to.
for the whole show.
Yeah.
It's going to take the whole show to go over all the accolades.
Yeah.
But in all these accolades and all the things that you've done, and the records that you've held, and what's the one that you hold dearest to you?
This is really interesting. I do get that question. It's not a solo swim. We did a 3-way relay across the English Channel: England, France, France, England, England, France. And so it did set a world record. It was at the time at 32 hours and 54 minutes. And it was really, I think I vibrated away about 10 pounds, just so cold, because it was on an old fishing boat that it didn't have, you were on the deck. Below deck was all stinky fish, and the head was a fluorescent orange bucket. And but nobody, it was an international relay. I was not going to be the antiseptic American. Everybody dealt with it. It was pretty basic back in the day. It was pretty basic, and everyone was just laughing. These are the itty bitty details that people don't know, So I was just like, oh my gosh. Okay. So we went through some pretty sketchy water that's been known. It's called, it's where a bunch of ships have Goodwin Sands, that all these boats have, like, they've run ashore, and it was low tide, and it was in the middle of the night, and you could see the masts, and it was really tense because, the pilot had to navigate between them. But I was just really proud of myself, and with the whole team thing, because doing a relay is so hard, because you could be seasick, somebody could get cramps, and you all have to work together. And to me, that was just the epitome of like open water swimming. It was an international team. We still connect. We set a record, and the best part, because I get seasick, I did not get seasick. So I was really proud of myself for being on a boat for that long. So that was, 32 hours and no sleep. Obviously you don't sleep. So
It's overrated anyway.
Oh, well, for me, I was really proud of myself. But so that was probably one of the highlights of my swim career. It's not a solo swim, but it's actually, that 3-way relay.
It's going back to that team thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Which
amazing.
you kind of, there is nothing really solo about a solo swim.
No, not at all.
Not at
Because
all.
you definitely need somebody to sit there and say, hey, you need to suck it up, Buttercup. Let's go right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you
So all
need-
good.
And you need somebody to say, hey, you're doing good. All right, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm probably known as one of the more low maintenance swimmers. I don't, because I've been doing this, like I said, for 45 years. And also I am pretty picky now about training swims in water. If it's too rough, these shoulders only have so many more miles to go on them. So, I'm just happy to be, continuing to be able to continue to swim. And some of these I mean, this year, oh, I did a race in Canada. I just finished a race in Canada that was really hard. It was actually a 25K race, and it was a race. And the first 7 miles were like, I looked at my kayaker, said, we're making really good time here, aren't we? And he goes, yeah. And I go, I know what that means. The last 8 miles sucked because it was 15-mile-an-hour headwinds on the way back. Yeah. So it was, it started from Vermont into Canada, across the lake, and then back into Vermont. Yeah.
You have to wait for 4 hours to cross the border when you're.
No, but no, there's a great picture that I got because I needed to take a photo op, and you can see the buoy, there's a big Canadian border buoy, and I'm like waving, hi, here I am. I'll get back to the US soon. My passport's not in hand yet, but they've made arrangements. But yeah, that is a good point.
Oh my God, I love it.
Oh my gosh, this has been such a great interview. I could go forever.
God,
But
that
we
was
actually have a NASCAR driver to interview.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's amazing. We could go forever. This is amazing.
Oh my God, yeah.
I love you so dearly.
Aw,
Thank you
thanks,
for coming
Rob.
on my
right,
show.
Rob.
What Up Sports? Chris, he knew I was really excited about this too.
Oh my
so
God, I couldn't shut him up.
I know. But you know what? I'm going to take credit for a lot of this because I trained her how to deal with really hard situations by having to watch me.
All right, you guys.
Oh, I love you
All
so
right.
much, and thank you, and I'll talk to you real soon.
All right, bye, Rob. Bye, Chris.
Bye-bye.
Good
Bye.
week.
Thank you from
Bye.
all of us here at What Up Sports Nation. You guys have a great day, a better tomorrow. What up?
What up?